screw around with it. So who should do introductions?
Shoot,
What?
I got my phone.
I can read off the list if no one else wants to, if Scott or someone else would prefer to.
No, we'll
Denise listed them in order on the
Yep,
presentation schedule, so.
yep, we'll just start with Cornerstone and we'll move on down the list.
Waypoint is not able to be here this evening.
Oh. They're the last ones.
They are sending their packet of information, and I'm also sending some contact information if there are any questions that people have that I
Okay.
can get answers to.
Alright. And the event that's happening downstairs is canceled. The farming presentation?
That I don't know, I haven't.
Oh, no, I do know it's canceled.
Oh, it's canceled.
Yeah. One of the presenters is not up to it.
Hmm.
One of those days, I guess.
Changing it back.
I thought Tom was gonna be here, because he was gonna talk.
Hmm.
Still trying to get his son to come over here, some
That was some work.
work. We just haven't had time to connect.
So you making sense of that Heritage Commission thing?
Yeah, and Brenda is putting together a different set of numbers for me, and I'm just gonna do a custom spreadsheet where it'll give you everything, individual expenses, individual deposits.
So hopefully we have more than what Taylor said that we have.
$4,000.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit more than that, but.
And we are just about ready to switch the bank, which will make it 100% easier
Are you
too.
selling them?
TD will actually have a separate sub-account for each commission.
Oh, okay.
Instead of what M&T does,
Are
where
you still with M&T?
Yeah.
we are. Well, the accounts are open now with TD, we haven't pushed the button to roll it.
That's taken a while.
It has.
Yeah, this is the test.
This is the test?
Yeah, we'll have.
He was gonna take it home.
No, you're gonna take it
Yeah.
home. It's a test.
I was gonna ask, are there different sizes and colors?
Well, we're gonna order all of them that aren't in your size. So, no, we just,
I
this is
want
the
a
test so to see
large.
what the logo looks like against here with different colors, because this is like
Yeah.
an antique. Like,
Yeah,
Evening, sir.
I like it.
Okay.
But like
We're good, we have
like a
quorum.
blue.
We have quorum.
we're gonna have red, white, and blue. So.
Oh, good.
You get the standard.
You can
Blue
grab
is
that
a lighter
picture if you want, just
blue.
Rebecca hasn't shown up.
All right.
Or you can sit front and center.
It's warm in here.
Lighter,
These are nice. That's awesome.
But it's for the committee to figure out, do they like
And
that?
sell.
Kobe is.
What are we gonna,
Call in
what are you
on that
gonna,
telephone.
sell?
We have to determine that, we have to find out how much they cost.
Sort of like how much they cost like a donation
Yep.
type
Right.
thing, so
Yeah.
it's gotta be, yeah,
Yep.
nice. That looks really nice. All right. Who missing? Oh. Rebecca.
Cody's gonna be on the phone.
If she calls, and I explained to her, she didn't feel up to it,
Cody.
that I could,
She
you know,
is.
that
Oh,
it's recorded and
she's
she
not
could
well.
watch it at a later date.
That's too bad.
She does have the phone number, though, so she's gonna call in.
There we go.
I'll be here. Good evening. Yeah, I
Yeah,
go
these pizza,
pizza.
what would you like?
Okay, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, hopefully this works fine. Oh, you still there? Are you still there, Kobe? All right, I'm trying to find speaker in here. A brand
Modern
new phone.
technology.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Okay.
How's that? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I had to mute the live stream so that I could watch and listen. Thank you.
Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to hear some of the other voices around the room.
Yes,
Board
just
of already
turning up
seen
my
it live
volume.
stream. Well, recorded too.
Is it on? It is.
Yes.
The recording and the live stream are on, as is the phone, so.
1 minute.
Who's from Cornerstone? You're first.
Yay.
That's so you know you're gonna speak, so you can be nervous now and not later.
Right?
They don't have to be nervous.
No.
Every year.
Yep.
And we love them.
Is that 7?
Pretty close. Yep.
7?
Go.
7 o'clock. Okay, call the meeting to order. Cody, do you want to do the ABC part, or do you want me to do it? What do you want to do? Cody?
Is she there still? Kobe, are you there?
Kobe's
I guess we should.
not there.
I should still.
Maybe the volume or something. I don't
She's
know.
still connected.
She said she
Might be
It
muted.
still says speaker.
You should go to the room.
Maybe she stepped away.
She might have stepped away.
Okay. Okay, I'll do it until she comes back, I guess. Cornerstone, you're first.
See, I got you. Sorry.
There we are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. If you would facilitate in my absence, I'd appreciate it.
Great.
I think she wants you to.
So Cornerstone is up and going first.
So hello, everybody. I'm Jen Upton. I'm the Vice President of Operations at Cornerstone VNA Hospice. Some new news is our CEO, Julie Reynolds, is retiring after 30 years of service with Cornerstone, and the board has voted me in to be her successor. So I will be the CEO coming January 1st of 2025. I'm super excited. I've been with Cornerstone for 23 years, so I'm very committed to the organization. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions about Cornerstone VNA services. We do home care, hospice, community palliative care, which is nurse practitioners. We have a private lead program. And we've really expanded our community education offerings in the community. That's one thing we're very proud of. And the thing that I passed out to everybody is what we're calling our mid-year impact report. And that's really just a 6-month glimpse into what Cornerstone really has been focusing on for 2024. And palliative care is a big focus and energy that we put a lot into. And one of the areas that we have expanded is inpatient palliative care. And so we have a nurse practitioner representing palliative care services to patients that are hospitalized over at Portsmouth Hospital. And we have discussions that we'll try to get into Frisbee, and then we're also working to get into York. We have officially expanded our territory, so we're now into Epping and Exeter and Newfields, and that's a result of our referral sources asking us. But for our lead residents, I was able to get from our CFO that for 2023, we totaled over $27,000 in under or uncompensated care for lead residents specifically. And we really want to continue to be able to provide services to the vulnerable patients in this community and all of our communities. And we're also really trying to focus on prioritizing mental health. That is something significant in a lot of our communities. And so we really have a strong mental health team, and we're spearheading specifically, there's a Rochester Mental Health Alliance. One of our staff members is the chairperson of that. And then also involved in Dover Mental Health. But everything we learned from that, we spread to all of our communities, and including me. So I didn't know if anyone had
Did
any
you have a
questions.
number of participants, or did you say that?
From the number on the backup was 76 lead
Oh,
residents.
76 leaders.
Yeah, and it continues to grow. This area is expanding, And that's why, another reason we're continuing to go even more on 125 into that Epping and Exeter area, because we see a need for the patients in this area.
Any other questions for Jen?
Come on, give me some.
I'm good.
Okay,
You guys are great.
Congratulations.
thank you.
You do a lot for the community,
Yes.
and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody from Ready Rides? You're next.
Good evening, I'm Fred Wolf. I'm the lead representative to the Ready Rides Board. I'm not sure how much information you know about Ready Rides. You should have received a packet. Everybody get that? Or detailing how many rides we did, et cetera, last couple of years. When you look at the number of rides we gave, it looks large. I think, for fiscal 23 was 356. We count a round trip as 2 rides, just so you know, so it's 1 ride each way. It is a totally nonprofit organization. People who volunteer to drive do get reimbursed mileage at 50 cents a mile. So, we're doing 300 to 400 rides of Lee residents a year to medical appointments. Be happy to answer any questions you may have about our organization or about Lee Rides or about wheelchair accessibility or whatever you may have.
Any questions for Fred?
How many drivers do you have that do Lee?
We have 42 different drivers who will
They
serve.
go everywhere.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. People tend to try to stay around, we don't see people from Stratford coming over to Lee, trying to stay.
Yeah.
Keeps our mileage down for one thing.
We
And,
bounced back pretty well since COVID.
we are, but we're not yet back at pre-COVID numbers.
Okay.
We're still about 10 to 15% off.
That's quite an improvement though, right?
Yeah, the first year after COVID was like, where is everybody? Yeah, so it's been coming back.
Yeah, good.
Do you have a hard time finding drivers?
I wouldn't say a hard time, but we're always looking for
Drivers.
volunteer drivers. Each time a new town comes on, so for example, Epping joined us about a year ago. And they're required, to get brought into the group, they have to commit to so many different drivers willing to do that.
Okay.
So, and we're constantly doing different PR and marketing type work to try to find more drivers. I think we're at 42 different drivers right now, is my recollection.
So Epping's new, is anybody else new, or are they?
Deerfield has just applied, asking to come on.
Yeah.
We had a request from Exeter,
Okay.
Really?
so there's a need out there.
Mm.
And what has to happen, our board meets with the reps from whatever town. The town has to commit to $1,500 a year. And come up with a number of drivers. And then if that all comes together and there seems to be a commitment from the town, then we move forward.
Our town administrator's from Deerfield. So,
And we have a new committee on aging and making the community age friendly, so I'm sure that's part of the outreach to you. It's been going for about a year.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I didn't quite hear all of that.
I said in Deerfield, we have a new committee on making the community age friendly, and it's been going for about a year, so I'm sure their outreach to you was a result of Jack and the new committee.
I was just gonna ask, is it somebody named Jack?
Jack Hutchinson, yes.
Right.
Somebody named Jack.
And there's also a woman who came to our board meeting this past week. I have a memory, I'll tell you her name.
You have a website that you go on to either sign up for a ride or volunteer?
Well, we do have our own website, but we work in conjunction with Coast, of course. And so all the people signing up for rides and drivers going on to accept rides is done through Coast, and there's another organization that has the website itself. So the Ready Rides website doesn't do the riding per se, as much as the Coast website takes care of that.
So if you were interested in getting a ride, or if you were interested in volunteering to be a driver, what website would you go on?
Then if you want to just get signed up for either one of those, you could go to the Ready Rides website, and there's an email address, and it all goes to our coordinator. People that want to be drivers have to go through a whole training process, as well as getting checked, criminal background checks, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's about 3 to 4 hours of training about how everything functions. If you want to be to receive rides, you have to also sign up ahead of time, just some forms to fill out. And then we ask that you give us a week's notice. Because we need that much time, since it's all volunteer drivers.
All set up.
Yeah.
Denise helps people coordinate with them through our office, so we have a number of people that either come into the office and talk to Denise or call Denise, and she runs interference for them, so if you have questions or want to sign up, she's got the contact information.
The website is readyrides.org.
Okay, great.
Any other questions for Fred?
No, I think that's it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Next on the list is Cap. Anybody for Cap? There you go. You're next. Come on down, you're the next contestant.
Hello, my name is John Moynihan, and I am the new Chief Advancement Officer over at Community Action Partnership in Stratford County. Been there for a couple of months, and this is my first budget meeting. So thank you for being number one. I appreciate that. We are incredibly grateful for the support that we get from Lee on a regular basis. In fiscal year 2023, we served 133 Lee residents with over $150,000 worth of assistance. That equates to nearly $82,000 in emergency rental assistance to landlords and utility companies, to 106 individuals to avoid eviction and utility disconnections. We provided 41 households with fuel assistance valued over $30,000, 63 households with electrical assistance at over $48,000. We conducted weatherization improvements of 4 households within Lee valued over $16,000. We also provided early education support and diapers for a Lee family valuing over $17,000 worth of equipment and services coming here to the community.
Do you, is need going up, down, staying the same? What have you seen in terms of trends?
I mean, need continues to grow, and one of the largest needs that we're seeing coming up is actually the rising senior population that is dealing with homelessness or dealing with rising costs on a fixed income. One of the things that we've done to help do that is in 2019 we took over control of the Gaffney Home, which is a rehabilitation center, back in 2019, and we actually just opened it for 21 units of affordable senior housing in Rochester. So if everybody looking for affordable senior housing, go online and apply. But yeah, we continue to see the need rise. We opened the applications for fuel assistance on October 1st. We've already had over 1,000 people reach out for that. Last year we helped almost 2,500 people. Had about $4 million worth of assistance through that program. So, unfortunately, the need is not it's not getting any easier, especially with a lot of the services that we provide.
How about this community in particular? Can you tell us how things have changed here with what you provided to Lee?
I can tell you just the fact that, again, we grow a little bit incrementally year over year in terms of what we do. So for fiscal year, so that was July 1 to June 30, it was 133 households. For the calendar year, from January 1 to December 31, it was 201 with $170,000 worth of services provided.
Any other questions for John? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Meals on Wheels.
I guess I must not have printed something.
Yeah,
No Meals on Wheels?
The first two were 1,500 and CAP is 4,000, these were all the same as the previous year.
Okay. So, no Wheels on Wheels, Crossroads House? I'm gonna hit the jackpot here soon. Haven? Yay, you're next.
Very nice to meet you.
Say, Scott, I wanted to state for the record before she asks for the money that my wife, Stephanie, is the chair of Haven. She is not compensated by Haven.
Okay, thank you for that full disclosure.
Yeah.
And just in the interest of the board, I know Tom just asked me, but the request for this budget year is $3,775 for Haven.
Hi, Stephanie Strauss.
Hi.
She's a rock star. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. You might already have seen this at home.
No.
Or, yeah. Hi everyone, it's nice to meet you. I'm Jessie Bill Jacobs. I'm also new to Haven, as he's new to CAP, a wonderful partner of ours as well, I should add. But I joined Haven about 5 weeks ago as the development director. Really excited to see Lee's support. I'm a Madbury resident, proud Oyster River mom as well, and joined Haven because I knew it by reputation, of course, having seen my kids go through the prevention education curriculum, which is among the most innovative in the country, I can say, having worked at Wellesley College at the Wellesley Centers for Women that does research on K-12 curriculum in this vein that's disseminated throughout the country. So you should be very proud to be supporting the work that they're doing, which has a multi-pronged approach. Of course, prevention education, as you know, is a big part of what we do. In over 18 school districts in the Seacoast area in Rockingham and Stratford counties, including, of course, Massway and the middle school, yay, doing great work there. And it's almost impossible or immeasurable to say the benefits of the prevention education to some 13,000 students throughout the Seacoast area, including the students in Oyster River. Because as my older daughter years ago said to my younger daughter, who was questioning, why are they coming with puppets to talk about this awkward topic? And my older, old soul daughter said, well, you may not realize why, but someone today in your classroom probably does. And it's probably helped that person identify a problem in his or her life. Very hard to measure the impact of prevention education, but we know it's working, and we have countless anecdotes from teachers, parents, students, and educators that are out there every day booked. We're already booking out into the next academic year, and we can't meet the need already. We need to add more educators in order to meet the need in the Seacoast area because we're so well known. The next part of how we approach domestic violence and sexual assault prevention and support services, of course, is through our client support services, our very well-known hotline that's been around for years, since 2005. Haven, as you know, has been around for 45 years. And little by little, we have been adding to the kinds of support services that folks in the community that are experiencing violence and trauma and wondering whether can access through a 24/7 hotline. And that's statewide. We work with our 11 other partners in the New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. And we consider ourselves to be leaders in this area, considering we are serving the largest population. We also have our housing and shelter services, as well as services that we provide to our clients throughout the year. That could be accompanying a survivor or victim of violence to court advocacy, going to the hospital following a trauma or some kind of sexual assault or domestic violence incident, counseling services throughout the year, safety planning. Here in Lee, in the first quarter, we just completed the first quarter of our fiscal year. We have served some 8 clients thus far in this town with 41 different services to those individuals seeking support, guidance, and help following a sexual assault incident or domestic violence incident. The housing program that we have, there was one client actually that did get housing assistance, And that can begin with shelter, where we provide safe shelter for women and children. And in many cases, moving on to housing, transitional housing assistance, which is really to us, the long-term, life-changing event that can really help a person and a family get on their feet economically. And that, of course, has been made possible through the very generous Office for Violence Against Women grant that we've been getting the last few years, which has enabled us to help people stay in housing for more than a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. That's really economic empowerment and helping people get on their feet and finding their future. I handed out an annual report, which is a very general kind of snapshot financially of what we have done in the past year, in the last fiscal year. In it, you'll see a little write-up about Camp Hope, of the services that we provide: prevention, education, client support services, shelter and housing. We now have Camp Hope, which just ran its second year successfully at free space at Camp Mytina, if any of you are familiar, but it's an opportunity where 20 to 40 children, we almost doubled this year following the first year when we launched it, where kids who have experienced trauma can go to camp and be kids like other kids, except they're with kids who have been through similar situations, with counselors and support as needed, and it's a really beautiful opportunity for them to share their experiences in an appropriate manner and setting in a safe space and make really wonderful or finding wonderful friendships. So that's an exciting part of programming that's new in the past year, as well as an extension of that program for children, which is Pathways, which is a mentoring program. That's also available, throughout our catchment area, including Lee. In fact, if you're aware of any kids, I think it's ages 7 to 11 that might be interested in this camp, let us know, and the Pathways program. I'd like to also add that I went to the New Hampshire Women's Foundation luncheon. Stephanie was there at our table last week, and just to add to, in terms of how Haven is known and recognized for its work, following remarks provided at this annual luncheon, which is a hugely attended event, remarks from our two U.S. senators, an award was given to Kathy Beebe, our executive director, recognizing her work as executive director of Haven, which was really a testament to our staff and the whole organization.
How long has Kathy been there now?
Long time.
Long
A
time.
long time. I mean, she started in '91 with SAS, and I think it was called SAS at that point.
Yeah, it was,
sexual
I was
assault.
involved with them, they were called.
A Brava, very
Safe place back before.
a safe place. Yes, of course, a safe place and SAS,
Yeah.
sexual
So,
assault support services merged in 2015 under Kathy. But Kathy, for a time, was working at the New Hampshire Coalition for a time, and then came back and took on
Now, what's going to happen out at the Christ Church?
Oh, great question. There's a little brief write-up, very general. You might have heard that the Christ Church, which is the church where Little Blessings is on Lafayette Road in Portsmouth, kind of had a reckoning of sorts where they decided they wanted to take unused space and land and align it with their values, and they repurpose it, space that they weren't using because of their shrinking parish, which is a problem in many churches, not in the church in town at St. John's, but certainly the Christ Church. And so they tapped, thinking about.
Looking for the Historical Society meeting.
Yes.
That's interesting. But recognizing the shortage of workforce housing and affordable housing in Portsmouth, they called on Portsmouth Housing Authority to partner, like, hey, maybe we could develop new affordable housing here on our site, keeping some, you know, semblance of a worship space in a church.
They can
for
actually use a church
parishioners.
building?
So, well, what happened was Craig Welch, the executive director of PHA, said to really make this work, it would be great to have a partner, you know, from the community fabric that's providing services, meeting an essential need here in Portsmouth, which is, throughout the seacoast, which is prevention of sexual assault and domestic violence. And so he recommended Haven, in part because he knew Kathy had been, since pre-COVID, had been looking for anything available where we could establish a much-needed headquarters. There's no shelter in Rockingham County currently. We have one in the Somersworth area. So the Episcopalian Diocese generously agreed and embraced that. And so they tapped us to partner with Portsmouth Housing Authority, and they will develop 44 new workforce housing units. We will add on to the existing church, and Little Blessings, the daycare will expand in order to serve, I think, 70 preschool students on the first level. And then we'll establish our headquarters offices and the emergency shelter for Rockingham County. In the meantime, the worship center will be over in the, there's a smaller house on site that looks out onto
It
actually
used to
what's
be a parsonage.
Okay,
I think it used to be a parsonage.
all right, you know your stuff. We
No,
should
I'm
join
from
our
Port-
steering
I'm from
committee.
Portsmouth, don't mind me.
Yeah, it did actually, that land and that parsonage house actually looks out on an African burial ground that's there that won't be, and then you can go out and it connects with trails, there's, you know, conservation land attached to it. So you couldn't get more ideal for a location. It's a new in that the emergency shelter would be a known location, which is happening more and more throughout the country because it's very difficult to hide undisclosed locations in this day and age. And having it in a shared space with community partners, it's more eyes on the community and the safer, kind of centralized place to be. So stay tuned.
Super.
Yeah, still in the planning stages.
Any other questions for Jesse? I have one. There was a time when you weren't allowed, or SAS wasn't allowed in Mast Way, and now they are. I noticed from your thing you're not in the high school. Why is that?
Not yet.
Not yet? Are you
We
being
will
told
be.
no, or being told,
We need more educators.
okay?
And we have a couple now that are in high schools and doing great work with teenagers. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of resources.
Okay.
In fact, next year I'm hoping that we can add 2 new educators. Part of we're gonna have a capital campaign in order to raise the funds needed for this new headquarters. We're building into it capacity building so that Haven can expand its services, including things like 2 new educators, so that we can expand our high school program, which is key. It would be very important.
Now, are you in other high schools already?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All
Yes,
right.
yeah.
So it's just a matter of staffing through it,
Yeah.
because that particular age is, well, you know.
And now that you asked, I want to double check it. I don't think, I know that Oyster River loves having them in the middle school and the elementary school, so I don't think there's any pushback at the high school.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was any pushback at Mass Wave.
Oh, years ago.
Okay,
The principal wouldn't let you in, or they wouldn't let SAS in.
okay.
And then that person left, and the new person said, sure, why not? And you've been in there ever since.
Oh,
So-
great.
So that's why I was asking about the high school, because it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
listed, so, okay, thanks. Any other questions for Josie? No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Nice to see you.
Yes,
I'm
Meals on
Meals-
Wheels.
yes.
We already called your name, but you weren't here,
Oh,
so.
I thought I was supposed to be here for 7:30, I
I don't know,
apologize.
we're zipping right
We're
along.
zipping through,
Oh.
no, we're just
So
teasing you.
We'll take you now.
Okay, I'm
We're just
sorry.
teasing, don't
It's
feel bad,
not
he's
you.
teasing you.
Oh, okay.
He's
I was
just
home having
giving
dinner,
you-
I was having my meals at home.
No, you're fine.
Was it one of the meals?
Actually, no, but I have a couple times lately. I'm now in the 6D category, so I can be officially a congregant
Oh,
in my
yeah.
program, when I need
You're
to.
in a hurry,
But,
you can grab one.
But
Okay.
anyways, I'm Jamie Shagman, I'm the director of the Meals on Wheels program. first off, I want to thank you guys for last year's support, as always, we appreciate it. We are asking this year, for instead of 1,500, I was looking for 2,000 if it's possible. Reason being is,
Excuse me,
Yeah,
excuse me, who do we have up?
this is Meals on Wheels.
Oh, great, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm not speaking loud enough, I apologize.
no, that's all right.
No, that's okay. That's, yeah.
She's not feeling well, so she's
Oh.
telephoning in.
Gotcha, yeah, well, we now can do that stuff. That's one of the pandemic things that I think a lot of us learned, we can actually do this electronic stuff. But anyways, so we are asking for a little increase this year if it's possible, and the reason being is, as no surprise to probably all of you, is things are more expensive. And for the last several years, it has been growing, but for the last several years, I was able to access pandemic money to help fill that void. Now, that money's pots have gone away, understandably, and so I'm just looking for a little extra assistance to help kind of, make everything keep it in balance. We did serve 21 residents last year, which I think is just a little bit down from the year before, but these things kind of do ebb and flow a little bit. And for those of you, because I know there's a few familiar faces here, in case you don't know, Meals on Wheels, our whole purpose is to try to help elderly and low-income disabled people stay in their homes as long as possible. Healthily and safely is our primary goal. With the process of putting people on the program, we have an intake process that includes some paperwork and home visits where we look at their situation and we determine their level of need. So somebody that might, let's say, they have kids in the neighborhood, but they work during the day, might only get a Monday through Friday noon meal just to check on them and make sure they're safe and make sure they're eating and stuff like that. If someone's maybe only relative is in California, they might qualify for a few more meals, like evening meals or weekend meals. So we don't just hand out meals. Some people are always afraid of that. There's a process, you have to meet certain criteria, certain nutrition risks, and all that stuff to be on the program. See if there's anything else particular.
You get emergency contacts and so forth, so that, does help.
Yeah, so
When you
know
go
that.
in, so these people are, and you get the mail sometimes, and
Yeah,
you-
or catch their
you guys
cat
do a lot of
because the
things,
cat got out
right.
the door on them and they can't get the cat back. But yeah,
It
no,
really is sort of a checkup.
it is about, the emergency checking on them and follow through. Like, we actually just had one the other day, town kind of adjacent to you in Barrington, where the daughter wrote to me to thank me because our driver did their job, what they're supposed to do. They went there, the person didn't seem quite off, but not like to call emergency, but just something didn't seem right. So they went back and they told their manager, the manager told us, which they're supposed to do, and we called the emergency contact and said, hey, your dad, she went there, she agreed, she took her daughter, and he had been having some mini strokes. So he's doing fine, and he's well, but she's crediting our driver for saving his life. And those are the types of things that, not to sound weird, but I was thinking about this the other day, because I'm retiring at the end of this year. And we're looking for my place, and I've been doing it for 36 years. One of the reasons I did it for 36 years was because all the impact I've seen. And I realized at a very young age, this could be important to all of us one day, and it's whether it's a family member or ourselves. So it needs a program that needs to sustain and survive. So that's why I've been, coming to places and asking for support, and I think we do a really good thing. And they still try to explain it to people by saying, we can feed a person for a year for what it costs about 10 days in a nursing home. So the longer we can keep people out of the nursing home, that most people want to be, the better off the whole community is. So I'd love any questions that you guys might have. And
Any questions for
what was
Jason?
the ask?
It's $2,000.
Okay.
Now, you contract your meals out, right? Yeah.
yes,
How much have your costs changed over the last couple of years?
Actually, the contract of food, I almost had a heart attack the other day. Since 2020, it's gone up 67%.
Oh.
I didn't, you notice it, but do the math, and I almost fell off my chair. One thing that we have done, which maybe it technically costs us a little more, but during the pandemic, the caterer we had at that point was out of Massachusetts, and they ended up going to frozen meals. And that helps somewhat, but it's not the same. Because we have clientele that are literally sitting in the chair, and you're walking up and you're getting the silverware and you're getting the meal open because they can't go stand by a microwave to get it in and out, nor carry it. There's others that can, but there's some that, so the frozen meal option is just, it's really not gonna help what our goal is. So I started searching around for a new caterer, and I managed to get a caterer that actually came into Dover and set up a kitchen for us. So not only is it closer for us, so the meals are fresher and they're not held as long and stuff like that, but frankly, they're in our state, which is also doing business that I think is a plus too, So all around it's been a good thing. But yeah, technically it all costs more because we're standing alone compared to when you're in a bigger conglomerate caterer that's doing half of the state of Massachusetts. You can get maybe a little better rate, but I think it's worth it. I think it's better for our citizens, so I'm proud that we accomplished that.
And you still have meals that you leave with them in case you can't get out because of weather and?
We do our storm packs, yes, and matter of fact, they're about to go out. And what we do is, with the storm packs, we again have some basic calling tree thing. So there's certain clientele, we don't necessarily call every single one, but if there's people that would have more challenges, we call and make sure, and if they don't respond, then we look further into that. So we try to do a twofold check besides just the meals. And then the other thing we have coming up this year, which is it's not important maybe to their physical health, but their spiritual health, is we do what we refer to as the Santa for Senior program every year. And so right now I'm working on getting donations from different people, like Chico Quilters just did this, a bunch of homemade placemats. I get some companies that will give us blankets, different things like that. And we put care packages together for the people that have nobody, that would have no holiday cheer. And so try to make it a little more uplifting to them. Like 2 years ago, we had actually a client over in the Somersworth area that we just, once we put him on, we figured out very quickly that the man was sleeping on a mattress on the floor, had no linens. So for Santa's for Senior, not only did we get someone to sponsor and get him a bed that was off the floor, but they got him blankets, they got him towels. And so it's a very worthwhile thing. It makes my staff feel really good, and it makes the people feel really good. It helps them get some things that they wouldn't normally have and they need. Another one that we're always collecting is toilet paper and paper towels, those types of things, because people don't always realize even if they qualify for food stamps and could get there, you can't buy that stuff with that. That's a kind of toilet paper is a thrill item.
Tobacco, booze, and toilet paper.
Yes. So things like that, you'll get the most heart-wrenching thank you notes on those, and it's amazing. And again, it's all why I've been able to do this mentally for 36 years, because it's not always easy, as I'm sure you know, because your job's not easy. But other questions?
Anything else?
All set.
All right, well,
Thank
again,
you very much.
thank you guys for passing. Whatever you can do, we appreciate it, all right?
Congratulations on your retirement.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. I'm
Yeah.
both excited and mixed. It's weird, but,
You'll still be involved.
yeah, probably. Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. You're the only one left.
Guess where I'm
We'll
from?
do you next. Where are you? Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm with CASA.
CASA? Okay.
Yes.
I guess.
Yay!
You get a point, Tom. How about
Yeah.
that?
Only one?
Yeah, well, she's only one person, so.
All right.
Good evening, thank you so much. My name is Tara, I'm Development Associate over at CASA. Is everyone familiar with CASA, or would you like a background on what the services that we provide?
You can give a recap, just
Recap?
for
Okay.
everybody who's
So
listening.
CASA provides volunteer advocates to abused, neglected children. We are statewide. We have a little over 600 volunteers that oversee over 1,500 children throughout the states. There are 3 residents from the town of Lee who are active CASAs doing this work. And the way the CASA's involvement is, we are appointed by the court. So once there's been a finding of abuse or neglect by the court system itself, CASA is the first person called. It is mandated for the children to have a representative in court. We are the only volunteer agency doing this work. So if we cannot provide a volunteer advocate, the state will then pay for a paid guardian to represent them. Any representation is great. However, think of the CASAs, our volunteers, we can oversee them. The CASAs meet with the kids every month. They get a really big picture of what's in the best interest for these children, versus the paid guardians who have upwards of 12 cases, all of which involving any number of children, so they do not put eyes on the kids as often as our volunteers do. Our volunteers will take, in the past, they've taken 2 to 3 cases. The past couple of years, due to the severity and the complexity of the cases, they are taking 1 to 2 cases. Which is why I'm asking for $750. The town has been funding at $500 the last few years. I'm asking for $750. Because of the severity and the complexity, our advocates are taking less, so we need more volunteers. And so the funding goes to supporting and recruiting volunteers to meet the need within Lee, within the county, and the state. Any questions on that?
And in terms of, if somebody's interested in volunteering, you have a program that you go through and train them?
Yes.
Or what their position is?
So they would go on to the CASA website, casanh.org. Right at the top is a button about being interested in volunteering. We offer virtual info sessions twice a month where you can do a Zoom. The Zoom's about an hour long. They have an active CASA as well as a staff member on there to answer any questions. The application process to be a CASA is very extensive. We want to make sure you're going to be a good fit for the program and the children that you're representing. And then once you are approved, it is 40 hours of training right out of the gate. It covers everything from how to write a court report, how to do a home visit, how to understand and what to look for when you're meeting with the children, and what questions to ask that don't trigger the children but still get the information that you need. And then there's periodic trainings and support groups throughout the year as the CASAs go forth with their case and different needs pop up. And then additional training depending on the case, because none of them are the same. They all have something new pops up, usually about 6 to 9 months in, and the CASAs don't know what to do, and so we have additional training to help them reach once they reach that point.
And do you help people who are in the system above 18 or?
Yeah, CASA goes from birth to 21.
21.
Yeah, and a lot of the 18 to 21-year-olds elect to stay in because of the services that they can receive with their CASA. Just gets them better prepared to be an adult on their own, getting them ready for how to balance a checkbook, and how the CASAs help them find resources to be self-sufficient once they get to that age.
Good.
And you said you had 3 CASAs in Lee?
From the town of Lee, yes.
You mean 3 volunteers?
3 volunteers, yeah, are
Can you-
residents of the town of Lee.
Can we get any idea of how many children from Lee have been
Yep.
served?
So this current year, there are 5 cases from the town of Lee involving 7 children. It's been going up the past couple
Oh,
of
I'm
years.
sure.
Last year it was 4 children from 2 cases. This year it's 5 cases, 7 children. And again, the CASAs are really focusing on their cases, so they're definitely giving their all. And a CASA will take they'll take the case, and no matter how many kids are on that case, there's just that one CASA. So if there's one kid, easy, one place to visit. If there's 4 kids, they could be going to a couple of different places depending on what the kids need and where they're placed.
Do you try to pair volunteers from the town that the child is in, or?
We offer that option to the volunteers. A lot of them prefer to take cases not so close to their sphere in case they know the family or they meet them in the supermarket or something. You know, if you were just in court and the parents were yelling at you because you recommended that the kids stay longer in foster care, you don't want to run into that mom at the grocery store. Some of them do have no problem taking cases in their town. They're able to, you know, go about their business if they have those run-ins, but some of them do request that they take next town over, a couple towns over, just so that they have that separation.
Good. Any other questions for Tara? No?
All set.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Very much.
You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Lemonade?
Lemonade.
Yay.
It's us.
Lemonade.
Woo.
Oh.
Bring the chair, ladies.
Hello.
Welcome.
How's everyone doing?
I don't know.
Awesome.
We'll see.
We're the last ones, right?
Well, so far, there's other people that haven't showed up yet, but I don't know if they are gonna show up, so yeah, you could be the last ones.
Woo, you guys get to go home earlier?
Well, we'll see.
No,
We'll
they're
see.
scheduled till like 8:30. They probably haven't come yet, right?
We'll see. We'll see.
They weren't early like us,
right? Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Because we're like, oh, wait, I think last year we came up early, so we thought that we should probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
And look,
Good idea.
we're smart cookies. I have a little speech, so I'm not playing on my phone, I promise.
So, where's Cheryl?
Cheryl's still around.
Oh.
She's our president.
It says Cheryl Hoffman.
Yeah.
Who's actually
And I kind of know Cheryl, so I knew that you were not Cheryl.
And we have a little introduction to introduce who we are.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah, so most of you guys probably have seen my face. I have done this 4 years in a row now. And this is Kathy. She was actually here last year.
Yeah.
So we'll probably see her more next year. We're representing Women Aid. And we provide financial assistance to Oyster River communities, but especially for Lee. Whether it's helping with rent, utilities, or medical expenses, and much, much more, as we've conversed last year and years before, our goal is to alleviate the stress that comes with, falling on hard times. In the past year, we've actually helped 5 Lee families, ensuring that they have a roof over their heads and the basic necessities to thrive. I'd like to share some of the stories with you this evening. Our first story is about a dedicated caregiver who faced significant challenges while supporting her husband who has MS. After recently recovering from COVID and missing 3 weeks of work, she now has to prepare for another surgery that her husband has to go through, making it particularly difficult because she has to take all this time off and they only live on a single income. Next, after prioritizing rent to avoid eviction, this person had fallen behind on other expenses. As a physically disabled individual, he previously supplemented his income with odd jobs, but following a recent shoulder surgery, he was at risk of having his electricity shut off and was struggling to keep up with his car payments. Looking ahead, he's also going to need another surgery for his shoulder, so that will require more additional time away from doing those odd jobs. So that was another person that we helped. And finally, we had a family navigating a deeply challenging situation. Their 5-year-old son was scheduled for a craniotomy. Craniotomy. It's a little late. I did payroll today, so my brain's kind of fried. I apologize. A serious medical issue that required urgent attention. The mother recently started a new job coinciding with their son's first day of kindergarten. And due to his recent health condition, she had to take off additional time off work, of course, to deal with this. But also the father just returned to work after a medical leave for mental health issues and was awaiting determination on his SSDI application. So this family had exhausted all other support options and was now seeking assistance for their upcoming rent. In addition to those 5 families and those 3 stories that I shared, we actually allocated $1,000 to each Oyster River school for the nurses fund, and that way they know exactly whose kids need the most help. And even in particular, Massway needed some gift cards, groceries, those sort of things, most recently. And then we also implemented a $1,000 scholarship to an Oyster River high school student. And this is brand new this year. And then we also allocated $1,000 to all of the local food pantries nearby, because those are desperately getting emptier and emptier as time goes on this year. So this grant would be instrumental in expanding our efforts and enabling us to reach more people. And with your support, we can continue to make a meaningful difference. And thank you for considering our request.
The thing that you might want to add in there is, and I know this is true because I've done your thing, you are like the last resort.
Yes.
Because many of these people that you just talked about have gone through services that are available.
That's right.
But there's something left over, and that's the void that you fill, which is like precious to anybody that needs your services. So you might want to add that in there.
That is a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, because that, at least for me, that's the important part of what you do. Because you've seen, well,
yes,
all these other people, they have federal grants, all kinds of other stuff, and they do this, this, and this. You do what's left over.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's important, and most of the time it is important for those particular people because it makes a difference in their life.
Yeah, that's right.
Next time your goal is to do that whole speech without the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
That for next year. So that's your goal.
It was fine. You always have to give people a little. So is it still, I thought it was like a referral, like someone needed to refer, like a.
Yeah, social worker.
Yeah, right. It's still on that basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how you get, you know who is in need.
Exactly.
Yes.
They're verifying all the information.
What is your maximum grant now?
So in this area, in our home areas, which is Lee, Madbury, Durham, Newmarket, it's $1,000 per request per year. And then we also will sometimes, based on how things are going, do some out of area, and we go up to 500 on those. And we
Have
do
you
some
had
share.
recurring situations?
We've had a few. I don't think we've had any in Lee. No. You know, after a couple.
That's great. That means that people got over the hump.
Yes. And we try really after to say, you know, kind of say, okay, you know, and we try to kind of give education piece too and refer. Susan, who goes through our requests, she's great at that because that's actually what she does for her job as well. And so she knows how to kind of point them in the direction of resources that can help with education and ways to kind of get them back on track so that we don't have to, it isn't an ongoing thing, which is really helpful.
And you also work with other women aid organizations. Is the one in Portsmouth now defunct, or is it back in?
The Hampton one.
Hampton, is that the one?
Yes, we actually provided them some seed money to get back up and running.
Okay.
So they're now up and running again.
They do good work.
Yes.
Plus they're nice ladies too, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
So give them the money.
I don't know.
We appreciate all you do.
Any other questions for the ladies? No? Thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Hope we'll probably see you next year.
That's right.
So you have to get
And
the
I will
phone thing.
memorize it. Yes.
I think last year I had paper. I was trying to save the trees this time.
Thank you.
I hope you guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
See ya.
Enjoy this beautiful weather, huh?
I was gonna say.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
So Waypoint was a scratch early on.
Oh, it was.
I'm not sure on age response. I don't believe they have sent a representative the last couple of years.
so she put them on, but
She put the Waypoint.
that was
called
not
us.
with confirmation.
Yeah, Waypoint called this afternoon and said that their representative was unable to make it, so.
Okay.
So Crossroads,
Did anybody else ask for money?
the Haven, we.
No, these were the.
Right?
Everybody who came
organizations
is
that-
the ones who asked for money.
Right.
Okay, except for Waypoint.
Yeah, we didn't get Red Cross. Well, there's a couple of them that
Did
did.
Crossroads,
Like,
did they
oh.
present?
Seacoast.
Or did I just
The
not check them
Vegas
all?
Centers.
They did not.
Stratford
No,
County.
Crossroads,
Are they
AIDS
still-
response, and Waypoint, so you're missing.
So just cross them off. You don't think they're coming? It is 7:54, so Crossroads probably not. But
Who's the last one on the list?
Waypoint was the last one.
And what was that, at 8:30?
right,
Yeah, and they had confirmed that they wouldn't be attending.
Okay.
but
And
we
age
haven't
response was-
heard from AIDS Response.
What time are they
And
supposed
they're
to
on
be?
8:20, so,
All right, so
I mean, technically,
we
Do
kind
we
of
have a
have to
phone
hang
number
around.
for whoever we're expecting?
I do not.
Did they say, did Crossroads ask us for money?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Then-
10,000.
Really?
but
Then I bet
they've
they
gone
should.
by, but AIDS Response hasn't.
Hasn't.
So,
AIDS response is looking for $700, and as I said, they have not sent a representative for the last 2 or maybe 3
I
years.
don't think Crossroads has either. I don't know.
but didn't she confirm with these
They haven't
ones?
asked
These
us
are
for
the
money
ones that
before.
got back to
I know
me.
so.
These are the
That
ones
said
that
they
she
were gonna-
called and said they would be, but
Yeah.
they all do every year.
They do. Okay.
Well, we can hang around for a little while.
We're supposed to have a chat anyway,
Yeah, we can have a chat.
internal discussion.
I can leave you for the internal discussion. Have the,
Yeah, but we want to talk about you while you're here, though.
It's hard to do that when you leave.
the IT guy will send me a text if you say anything too outrageous about me.
Oh, really?
Tell
You
me-
got
Tell me to
spies.
tune in.
All right, that's
So,
fine.
video.
But yeah, we can have a conversation. Is there anything we want to ask Andy before he departs, though?
One thing that you had asked me last week that I was planning on bringing up in greater detail at the November 12th meeting when we discussed the financial planning tool, which I did talk with John Tappan, and he is meeting with the rest of the department heads over the next week or so, and will be showing up on the 12th. You had asked me about ARPA funds that were left. I went through what had actually been accounted for ARPA spending and matched it up with actual receipts over the past 3 years, and we have a little bit more ARPA money than I thought we had. We have roughly $30,000, $30,541 it appears left in ARPA funding. So,
Can you give us a little update in terms of setting the tax rate and stuff like that? In terms of,
yeah, we have a couple more forms that we need to get in. We just went through our audit the week prior with our audit team. I'm waiting to get a couple of numbers back from them. Then we will finalize with the DRA and should be good to go in setting the tax rate.
okay.
The auditors did tell me that this was the easiest time in memory, recent memory, going through the audit. The way we're set up now, rather than give them boxes of receipts and paperwork, I give them a password, and
Oh, they go, yeah.
they log in on a view-only basis into our general ledger and into our payroll and into our, we upload and scan all our receipts now, so.
Can they do that remotely?
They probably could, but they
didn't.
show up and take over the back room.
Okay. Anything else we should be aware of?
Not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
particularly with regard to finance at this point.
Okay.
When do we have to spend that ARPA money by?
By January 1st of 2026, so.
Oh, so we have some time.
I did, I did tell the other department heads not to dream big and wild, but let them know that there is a little bit more ARPA money there, and if they have recommendations or requests to make them to the select board sooner rather than later.
Okay. Other than that,
Not much else going on.
Okay. And you can hang around, you don't have to leave. We're not gonna talk about you, but usually at this particular juncture in terms of our process, we usually talk about what has been presented before, and if there's anything maybe we want to hash out in terms of issues or topics or things like that. So,
I do have a finalized budget format that I'll be presenting to you. As of right now, I have not received, the primary things that are standing out are planning and zoning and fire. And as soon as I've got that completed, I have that in general ledger format and then Excel spreadsheet format with there's a column for the department heads, a column for the ABC recommendation, and a column for the select board's
what format is that in? Is it a spreadsheet?
It's in an Excel spreadsheet, and it's also in the standard general ledger format that we use.
Okay.
Now, who's keeping planning zoning going while Karen's out?
Bill Booth is keeping planning and zoning going, and Karen is slated to present on the 12th. I expect that she will be back in the office as of the end, October 31st to November 3rd. And
Can we know how she is?
she's recovering well, but she needs to get a little more rest under her belt.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate much in the way of changes. One thing Karen and I are in the process of doing, we have scrambled up some loose ends and are making improvements to the Avatar tax mapping software. That's been delayed a little bit by Karen's absence because I needed her approval of our shape files for the parcels, but in the not too distant future, you will be able to go on to our tax assessing site and you'll have an actual map that you can zoom in on that is Google Earth based. You'll be able to see the parcel outlines over the map, and when you click on the parcel, you can blow it up enough so you can see vehicles on the property, that sort of thing, and you can also click and get an instant tax card for the parcel. Planning and zoning has been interested in this because it's very easy to figure out all the abutters when you have to notice people, and when you get complaints about, you know, that shed is too close to the line, or there's 8 cars, you know, within 10 feet of our property line. I'm not quite sure how often the aerial topography and photography is updated, but you can see pretty clearly if buildings encroach, if there are junkyards, that sort of thing.
All right. Anything else?
That would be the only slight increase possibly that I would envision in the planning and zoning budget. With regard to the fire budget, it's coming up. I'm not sure what the chief is going to present. He is in a tough situation regarding overtime and regarding just payroll in general. The new step and track program that he's had in place for a couple of years now has worked pretty successfully for him. Wages are up enough to retain people and even attract people, but it tested the budget in a big way this last fiscal year, and most of the overtime budget has been spent for this year in the first quarter because of a couple of situations involving family medical leave where people were out and he had to scramble and work people double duty to cover the shifts. So I think that's going to be his area of priority is payroll and salary.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to talk about anything that we've been presented so far?
Is there any update to Linda's situation?
There is a little bit of an update. As I mentioned, we hired a DPW administrative assistant,
Hope, right?
Hope Braley,
Yes.
who was interested in the 20 hours a week. Linda is in dire straits, particularly through the election. She has been bombarded with absentee ballot requests and absentee ballot mail-ins, which require a significant amount of administrative work to make sure they're clean and secure. For whatever reason, we have also just had literally crowds at the town clerk's office. She's opened back to the 3-day-a-week schedule, which she thinks is helping to some extent. But Linda and myself have both approached Hope about her interest in working as an assistant in the office and possibly working to deputy. Steve Bullock, the DPW director, is on board with that and actually feels that, you know, if push came to shove, his half of the equation, 12 to 16 hours would work fine, and she could be in the clerk's office the rest of the time. Hope has just come home out of the military, is not quite sure what she wants to do. She's definitely committed to assisting Linda. She has not decided yet whether she wants to commit to working towards being the deputy town clerk, which involves continuing education and some training and you know, year upon year commitment to the position. So that's where we're at with that.
AIDS response?
Yes.
You're up.
I'm not late, I said 8:20.
No, we're just early.
Okay.
So we were chatting about other things, so yes, we're ready for you.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Tamara Leibowitz. I'm the Executive Director of AIDS Response Seacoast. I'm also a case manager, and we're a tiny organization. Myself, 2 full-time case managers, and a finance and administrative person. We are a nonprofit, community-based HIV service organization. We're located in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We just recently moved after 20-plus years at the City Hall building in Portsmouth. We're now at Community Campus with a lot of other nonprofits. It's a wonderful move for us. We provide education, direct assistance, and advocacy to persons and communities affected by HIV infection throughout the seacoast of New Hampshire. ARS evolved as a grassroots response to the epidemic in 1987 to offer vital emotional and practical support to people living with HIV infection and AIDS. And all services provided by ARS are free of charge to persons living with HIV. For the community of Lee, we serve between 2 to 5 residents. We don't give exact numbers in small communities because of HIPAA regulations. So for ARS, we assist people with HIV with enrollment and access to the New Hampshire Care Program, which is a state DHHS program that assists with medications and insurance. Enrollment in this program has to be provided by a contracted agency, so an individual cannot get these benefits on their own. They have to have a case manager. And for Rockingham and Stratford County, ARS is the only contracted agency, so it's the only way to access these benefits. The benefits pay for medications, co-pays for medications. HIV medications, as some of you might have heard, can be $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And in fact, for someone who, say, isn't eligible for insurance, they'll pay 100% of those costs if they need to. They'll get people, pay for their insurance premiums, and pay co-pays and deductibles for medical appointments. We also provide direct assistance in enrolling clients in Medicaid, Medicare, private insurance. We provide referrals with programs such as SSI or SSDI will help people with those applications, fuel assistance, and housing programs, including long-term housing placements. We provide assistance with medical transportation, referrals to mental health, counseling, substance use supports. We're also lucky to be able to provide direct support to our clients through our grant funds. Those kind of direct supports include emergency assistance with rent and utilities, and we have a food pantry where we have to provide food vouchers and food cards as needed. So for the community of Lee, we gave in the past year 6 assists to people to help them remain housed, keep their utilities on. Our direct assistance benefits the town of Lee as we work to keep our households stable and out of welfare offices. So ARS clients receive ongoing intensive case management support, kind of different. We'll have clients for many, many, many years, and our job is to kind of really help them live well and as healthy as possible within their communities, and to support and strive towards self-sufficiency. And like all other nonprofits, community-based nonprofits, we struggle to maintain services amongst rising costs and declining support from our federal and state government. We always rely on municipal funding to help support the program, and we've always looked at all of our Seacoast communities as partners. We're grateful for the support the town of Lee has shown to ARS and to our clients for all the years and years of support, and we really thank you for your consideration during this budget process.
Any questions? Can you give me an idea in terms of, AIDS used to be, and maybe I don't get out as much, one of those hot topics, but you don't hear too much about it these days.
Yeah.
Is the levels going down, staying the same?
I wish I could say it was going down, but unfortunately, it kind of seems to stay steady. We have right now 110 clients. Over the years, we have at any given time between about 95 and 115 clients.
Okay.
The good news is that people are living longer, they're living healthier with it. It is disturbing that we're seeing more younger people, younger women, especially in the last couple of years,
Really?
surprisingly getting diagnosed. And I think that there's just a lack of education in schools, just kind of not getting the word, or young people not understanding that they're vulnerable. It's a virus. I mean, all you need is a host body. Any human can get it. And so I think that there gets to be this idea that it's just an old person's disease or old gay men or something like that. And that's just wrong. So luckily, if we get these people diagnosed quickly, we can get them onto medication and they can live a healthy, normal life. But again, that access to medication is so expensive. So.
That's good. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Am I the last one today?
You're the last one.
Ah, okay.
Thank you for coming early.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any conversations you want to have?
Can we get back to Linda for a second? I was
Okay.
hoping it's something that news would help us with our budget problem with it. I don't know that there's an answer to that.
Well, it's going to be tricky, and
She's got
correctly or incorrectly, I encouraged Linda to make sure we had money in the budget. Right now, he's announced his intentions to run for town clerk is Tom Dronsfield, the police chief. Tom certainly has plenty of municipal experience. He has never been a town clerk. There's going to be a substantial
Learning curve.
learning curve and ramp up to speed in that office, regardless of what happens right now. Linda, I think when she first agreed to come back, was sort of excited about being back in the office. Linda is exuding no excitement at this point. Is very anxious to be done as soon as possible. She's assured me that she will stay and help train whoever's next, but she does not want to be any part of whoever's next.
So in
To
terms of,
remain, but she would help and
She would help
continue on.
train. She said, if everything falls apart, she said, I'm not going to give you a time estimate. She said, I will do my best to help the town that I live in and love. And
she did express no interest in hiring somebody on an hourly basis to get through till March. Has she changed that tune? Is she amenable, maybe?
we are, I expect to have a firm plan with Hope by tomorrow.
Okay.
Actually, Linda, Steve Bullock, myself, and Hope are all sitting down to try to hammer something out. At the very least, to hire Hope to help with property taxes and to assist with the election.
Okay. All right. That's good. If anything, to send out absentee ballots, that's a process.
Absentee ballots and property taxes. We don't use a service and don't have a contract with the service. Whoever has been town clerk and assistant have divvied up the property tax bills and taken large boxes home on the weekend and stuffed them.
Do we have talk of Tom's replacement? Or
I'm going to be.
She came back, she called back in.
hello?
Hello?
That's you.
Yeah, it's from the stream.
Do we have talk of Tom?
Yeah,
So we called,
it's like a 20-second delay, I think. I forget what I was saying.
Tom's replacement.
Yeah, I am going to be talking with the board on Monday. I have a job description and job search piece ready to go, and we're going to hammer out the schedule for when we want to open the job search and when we want to close it. Tom, as I said, has steadfastly told me that he is, and the board, that he's running for town clerk and that he expects to be fully done by April 1st. I think his retirement date.
I think that's for calling in.
Yeah.
I know, but then it wasn't, right? Because it was.
Hello? Hello?
I think it keeps dialing back, because then it.
Because we lost the call. Let me try just looking to see where this was.
So, but there's, I mean, we don't know about any prospects or anything like that. It needs to go out first.
Nope, Tom had spoken to 3 people that he thought might have an interest. As of right now, of those 3, there is 1 that might have an interest. And there will be an open hiring search. It's likely that, one senior member of the lead department may submit a resume. Certainly, we're encouraging anybody that feels they're qualified and has an interest. And Tom is interested in being involved in the interview process.
Right, yeah. And he said he would even maybe stay on to help out some.
That's a potential. I think it depends on the candidates that we have. Typically, if you have somebody who is ready to be a police chief and wants to be a police chief, they're not necessarily interested in a lot of training from the outgoing police chief.
No. I meant be still on the, or on call or whatever. He was talking about details.
Yes, no,
like
I think,
that,
I
extra
think
stuff.
he would be willing to do that.
Now, are we in the
And
same
he's a good resource.
spot with the fire chief? Because I know they kind of, their plans have been somewhat parallel historically. Do we have that kind of
The fire chief
information?
has not had any conversations with the board or me at this point about
I think we
eminent
have a
retirement.
couple more. I think we have 2 or 3 more years, maybe.
Oh, really? Okay, I was under the impression they were going to march off into the sunset together.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, that's somewhat encouraging. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I think the fire chief is feeling better about being the fire chief and his department, given some of the success he's had in keeping the roster full now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2 years ago into last year, there was a fair amount of stress because he just had half a department a lot of the time, and was putting in a lot of extra hours himself trying to keep things going. And not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but I think that has changed.
Okay.
Any other discussion topics?
I'll just say that of everybody that we've heard so far, I think all of them seem reasonable and logical. The town clerk tax collector situation is unfortunate. There's nothing to be done about it. The one thing I did want to mention with respect to the police budget is, as the chief said, is that we're going to have to pay more money to hire his replacement. I just want to acknowledge the fact that what that really means is that he took less money when he didn't necessarily have to. And I appreciate that, and I want to acknowledge that publicly.
He's done a lot of work.
I don't think I have anything else to say, at least not at this time, about anything else.
Fair enough. Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now, do you guys have?
Shut off the
I
mic.
never went to the ABC, so it was still a board meeting. But